even though this ended up being a bullish shakeout, how did it reach it? Dump down, no bounce, dump down, weak. Look how weak this is. Just grind sideways. And then drops. And just drifts all the way down. Like, these are 4 hour candles. There's loads and loads and loads of time to actually identify that. Same here. Like, this one was probably one of the most brutal because in reality it got bearish over here, right? I remember back in this area I was long above 30k. I think it was 29 point something, and I cut it whenever we started to close at those levels. And then we stayed below the bands and below the 50, and we dropped down a bit, but then it just grinded, and we chopped and chopped and chopped, took out the lows, took out the highs, chop. But look at this, when it actually went for the big breakdown, it was really clear. It was very, very, very clear at this point that there was no bid. No bid, and it's just drifting and drifting and drifting. And that's how those accelerate. The big ones, where you're going to get the big liquidation candles, they actually move like this almost every single time. You actually have a couple of days where it just drifts down and it's not able to bounce. That's how it happens. So, again, I don't need to show a million examples, but I will. Impulse down, clear weakness. I remember trading this and saying, this market seems dead. Something's wrong. And it turned out it was the banking crisis and the USDC depeg. And it just drifted and couldn't bounce and drifted and couldn't bounce and boom, down it goes. And look at how many of these actually lead to bottoms and then bullish reversals, right? How often that happens. Leads to bottom. That was the absolute bottom. Took longer to reverse, but it was the bottom. Drifted off, led to the bottom, right? This one, is that the one we had where it weak, drifted down and that was the bottom? Could be. But if it is setting up for another leg lower, you're going to see something like this at some point. We don't have anything like that. It's just fantasy land that people have, because as traders they just want something to happen as quickly as possible. So it's pure fantasy that they expect it like this. Like, people literally just draw the most retarded fucking stuff like that. Boom, up we go, down we go, done. Like, that can happen. But Bitcoin is not a 50 million market cap shitter. It's not a meme coin, right? Those type of moves just do not tend to happen. Stuff does not tend to happen so quickly because there's too many people trying to catch each move, right? Like I said, anything can happen. If people are really offside, it is possible. But after reclaiming that 60, it's actually far more likely that the exact same thing can happen, right? The exact same move, except it's just slightly protracted. We do go up, we do go down, but people get too bearish into that one and it chops. And it chops like that and up into there, and then it happens. And it just delays you by a few days, right? That's one of the most important things that I learned as a trader, is that it almost always comes back for one more test, one more sweep. It almost always bounces just one more time than you think. Or if you're trying to get long, right? And you know this. Most of you know this intuitively from your trying to trade, right? It comes down, it comes down, it comes down, and you're like, and you see a sweep. And you're like, oh, long, you get long there, and it doesn't seem much reaction, boom, another sweep, and then away it goes. Right? You've seen that a million times. And you long this sweep, and it takes you out. Right? And same then on the downside with the sell-offs. Bounces up, takes out the highs, looks really bad, right? That looks really bad. It's took out the highs, there's a sweep, comes down. You're like, oh, I'll have to short this, and boom, just grinds its way back up into that level. Starts to make you think it's bullish again, and boom, away it goes. And then it weakens, and off it goes. Right? That kind of thing is so common. And it's common for that exact reason. When you get these aggressive moves, it induces people, it makes them short. And then it just grinds back. It very rarely, by the way, it very rarely bounces quickly. It grinds. It grinds back up before the eventual drop. It's the slow things, right? If you have an impulsive move and then a slow bounce, they're the most difficult to short. Look at the examples we have here. Perfect examples, right? This impulse candle was showing clear weakness. But think about this. Let me take off the bands, and then I'll finish. Right. So this impulse candle was genuine weakness. And so what happens? Remember, these are 4 hour candles. People start shorting in here, right? And they short in there and it pushes up, stops them out. And it sits here. And they short again and it stops them out. And they short again here and it stops them out. And eventually it takes out the highs and everyone gets bullish. And then it weakens. And not just, it weakens very clearly. It takes the highs, right? Sweeps the highs, comes back, breaks structure, bounces into a lower high, and then breaks down. The whole key to trading is being patient enough to wait for that kind of stuff, for those kind of levels. So anytime you see a sudden impulsive move, be on the lookout. Because remember, if you watch my Nature of a Trend video, that's exactly what we're talking about. In an uptrend, it's what? Impulse. Then a slow correction, lower volume, impulse. Same thing happens on the downside. That's just what that was. It was an impulse down, showing the direction, but it won't just go down straight away. It's going to squeeze out those early shorts first, and then down. So where are we at? We had our impulse down, and instead of, if we had have done what we did here, right, where we had an impulse down and we grind it up slowly and slowly and slowly, that's why I was bearish there, not expecting it to hold. This is a bit different. We impulse down, right, but we've impulsed back up. So it's about equal. There's a decent battle going on here. There's no clear direction in terms of the strength. If this had have grinded up like that, you're like, oh, it's just squeezing shorts out. It might grab those stops and then boom. So that's why people who are expecting the fast drop again, they're falling victim to recency bias, because we had a fast drop here, we had a fast drop here, we had a fast drop here. Oh, same's going to happen again. Probably not, because they've missed the fact that we've had a fast rally, right? They've missed that the impulse is now flipped. The most recent impulse we have is actually a bullish one. If the most recent impulse is a bullish one, I would expect continuation of that. Slow grinds back, impulses, slow grinds back, impulses, until it ends, wherever, right? So that's it, GM. GM. See you later on the live stream. We'll do weekly outlook, 4 p.m. UTC.